Welcome to Monk's Moon Temple. Find your place here. Wherever you are, let your body settle into the support beneath you. Feel the contact of your feet on the floor, your back against the chair, the weight of your hands resting. There is nothing to do right now but listen. Let the sound of these words be an anchor, bringing you back to this present moment, to this quiet space we share together. If you are carrying words from yesterday, or last week, or last year, words that felt like a sharp sting or an empty compliment, you are not alone. This is the human experience when we forget where our true home is located. We wander through the world hoping to find our reflection in the eyes of others, and we feel lost when the reflection is distorted or absent. But there is another way to live. A way that has been taught for over 2,500 years, since the time of the Buddha. This is a path not of building thicker walls, but of discovering the vast, open sky within that cannot be damaged by any passing storm. Tonight, we begin a journey into 3 timeless qualities that can make you unshakable. These are not superhuman traits. They are your own innate capacities, waiting to be uncovered through gentle understanding and practice. This is the heart of the Buddha's teaching. That freedom from suffering is possible right here, in the middle of your life, with all its praises and criticisms. Let's start with a simple, modern scene. You're walking down a busy street, lost in thought. Suddenly, you catch your reflection in a store window. For a split second, you don't recognize yourself. You see a stranger, a person with a certain posture, a certain expression. Then, with a click, identification happens. That's me. And instantly, a cascade of thoughts and feelings follows. I look tired, or this outfit works, or I should stand up straighter. The reflection becomes a source of evaluation. Now imagine that every person you meet is like a living mirror. Some mirrors are kind, showing you an amplified version of your strengths. These are the voices of praise. Some mirrors are distorted, showing you a funhouse version of your flaws. These are the voices of criticism. The problem isn't the mirrors. The problem is that we believe the reflections are the ultimate truth of who we are. We forget that we are the one looking at the mirrors, not the image in them. This is the first, crucial psychological insight framed by the Buddha's wisdom. We suffer when we confuse the reflection for the reflector. We take the temporary, external image and solidify it into a permanent self. Praise feels good because it shows us a flattering image. We want to glue that image to our identity. Criticism hurts because it shows us a threatening image. We want to shatter that mirror. In both cases, we are at the mercy of the glass. The Buddha's path is about turning your attention away from the endless hall of mirrors and back to the source of your own awareness. It's about realizing you are the light that makes all reflection possible. When you know yourself as the light, you can appreciate a clean mirror, you can clean a dirty one, but you are never confused about being the image trapped within it. Before we go deeper, if this exploration of finding a peace that doesn't depend on reflections resonates with you, I warmly invite you to subscribe to Monk's Moon Temple. By subscribing, you create a gentle reminder for yourself to return to this space of clarity. You also join a community of fellow seekers, helping this sanctuary of practical wisdom grow. Your support makes this work possible. Now, let's continue. To understand why we get so trapped in the hall of mirrors, we need to look at the mind's most basic function. It is a meaning-making machine. It takes raw data, a tone of voice, a string of text, and instantly weaves a story around it. This is not a flaw, it's how the mind navigates the world. But it becomes a prison when we forget we are the authors of the story, and instead believe we are characters trapped inside it. When someone says, "Your presentation was confusing," the raw data is the sound of those words. The story your mind might spin is, "I'm a bad communicator. They think I'm incompetent. My career is in jeopardy." You then react to that catastrophic story as if it were reality, feeling anxiety, shame, and fear. The Buddha called this process papanka. Mental proliferation. A single seed of sensation grows into a tangled forest of thought, and we get lost in the woods. The first quality we cultivate is the ability to see the seed as a seed. To hear the words without immediately getting lost in the forest they seem to summon. This is the practice of mindful gap. Between the stimulus, the words, and your reaction, the story, there is a tiny, potent space. In that space lies your freedom. Your practice is to widen that gap, through the gentle, repeated return to your direct experience, the breath in your body, the feeling of your feet on the ground, the simple fact of being aware. You are training yourself to meet the reflection without jumping into the mirror. Let me share an original story. There was a photographer named Elias who was renowned for his portraits. He could capture the essence of anyone, he said, by forgetting their face. His technique was unusual. He would ask his subject to sit, and then he would turn his camera not on them, but on a random object in the room, a vase, a bookshelf, a patch of light on the wall. He would focus there, adjusting his lens, calming his own breath. Only when he felt completely present, his own mind quiet and receptive, would he slowly turn and bring his subject into frame. He explained, "If I look directly at the person first, all I see is my own idea of them. The mirror of my expectations, my judgments, my desire to make them look a certain way. But when I arrive empty, through the back door of the room, I see them. The story falls away, and the person appears." We can do this with the words that come at us. When criticism or praise arrives, we can practice the Elias method. Instead of turning our full attention directly onto the words and the hot, immediate story they trigger, we first turn our awareness to our own inner room. The sensation of the breath, the state of the body. We arrive there, empty and present. Then, and only then, do we bring the words into frame. Seen from this place of calm presence, they are different. They are just words. Some may contain useful information. Some may be merely the other person's photograph of their own inner world. But they are no longer a verdict on your soul. This is where we begin, with the courageous, gentle decision to stop jumping into mirrors. To feel the urge to believe the flattering reflection or fight the ugly one, and to instead, take one breath. In that breath, you remember, you are the photographer, not the subject. You are the awareness, not the thought. You are here, in Monk's Moon Temple, beginning the journey home. We've begun to step back from the mirror. But the world of praise and criticism isn't just about images, it's about a deeper, more powerful economy. We could call it the economy of worth. In this economy, your value is a currency that rises and falls based on market forces, the approval of your boss, the admiration of your peers, the likes on a post, the absence of complaint. You are constantly taking your emotional temperature by holding a thermometer outside your own body. Is it warm there? Is it cold? This is exhausting. And it's based on a fundamental error. The Buddha's teaching interrupts this entire economic model. He proposed that your worth is not a fluctuating currency, It is a fundamental condition, like the law of gravity. You don't earn gravity. You don't lose it on a bad day. It simply is. In the same way, your inherent worth, your capacity for awareness, for growth, for kindness, is not something you earn through achievement or lose through failure. It is the ground of your being. The problem is we act as if we're bankrupt, constantly hustling for external deposits to feel solvent. This shift from seeing yourself as a fluctuating currency to recognizing yourself as a fundamental condition changes everything. It means you can engage in the world of work, relationship, and creativity not from a place of lack, trying to get worth, but from a place of wholeness, expressing what is already there. Let me illustrate with a story about a master gardener named Eris. He tended the gardens of a grand, but often empty, estate. For years, he labored under a bitter old groundskeeper who never gave a word of praise. "The roses are acceptable," was the highest compliment. Eris's work became anxious, tight. He pruned not for the health of the plant, but to avoid criticism. The gardens grew orderly, but joyless. One winter, the old groundskeeper passed away. The estate was quiet. Eris expected a new, perhaps even harsher, supervisor. But none came. He was alone. For the first month, he felt unmoored. Without the critic's eye, what was the point? Then, one spring morning, he found himself kneeling by a bed of peonies simply because he loved the way the morning light caught the dew on their tight buds. He wasn't thinking of a review. He was just there, with the peonies. That day, he pruned not for shape, but for light. He weeded not for neatness, but for the health of the soil. He began to tend the garden according to the silent, inherent laws of the plants themselves. The need for sun, water, space, care. Within a season, the estate exploded with a beauty it had never known. Visitors would stop at the gates, astonished. When asked his secret, Eris said, "I stopped gardening for the groundskeeper, and remembered I was gardening for the garden." Your life is that garden. The voices of praise and criticism are the old groundskeeper. They have their place, perhaps. But when you tend your life for them, when you shape your choices, your words, your very self to please the critic or attract the praiser, you create an orderly, but joyless, existence. The moment you remember to tend your life according to its own inherent laws, the law of integrity, the law of compassion, the law of your own genuine curiosity, a different kind of beauty emerges. This is the beauty of authenticity. It requires no external validation, because it is its own reward. How do we make this shift practical? We start by identifying the groundskeeper voices, both internal and external. Whose approval are you secretly gardening for? Your parents? Your social media followers? The imaginary panel of judges in your mind? Just notice. No judgment. See them as the old supervisors they are. Then, you begin to consult a different authority, the felt sense of integrity. This is not a loud voice. It's a quiet, bodily knowing. It's the feeling of ease when you speak a kind truth. It's the solid feeling in your chest when you keep a promise to yourself. It's the subtle rightness of an action taken not for effect, but because it aligns with your deepest understanding of care. You ask, does this choice feel aligned? Does this action come from a place of wholeness or from a place of lack? This is the practice of sila, or ethical conduct, in its most personal form. It's not about following rigid rules. It's about aligning your actions with the natural law of your own inherent worth. When you act from this alignment, you are making a deposit in a different kind of bank, an internal bank of self-trust. The balance in this bank isn't visible to others, but it is the source of true confidence. Criticism might comment on your gardening techniques, but it cannot touch your growing savings of self-trust. Praise might be a pleasant decoration, but you are no longer dependent on it for your sense of wealth. Tonight, try this small audit. Recall one choice you will make tomorrow. It could be how you handle a difficult task, what you eat for lunch, or whether you speak up in a meeting. Before you decide, pause. Check in with the old groundskeeper. What would so-and-so think? What will look best? Acknowledge that voice. Then, turn inward. Ask your felt sense. What choice, right now, would feel most aligned? Most honest? Most kind, both to others and to myself? Listen for the quieter answer. This is you, beginning to garden for the garden. Tending your inner garden requires a special kind of soil, one that is receptive but not grasping, stable but not rigid. In our journey, this soil is equanimity. The Buddha called it upekkha. This is not indifference. It is the profound, balanced calm of a mind that is not pulled off-center by the 8 worldly winds, praise and blame, gain and loss, fame and disrepute, pleasure and pain. Imagine you are a deep, still mountain lake. On the surface, all kinds of weather plays out. The warm sun of praise glitters on the water. The harsh wind of criticism whips up choppy waves. The cold rain of loss dimples the surface. From the perspective of the lake's surface, these events are everything. But descend just a few feet below, into the depths. There, the water is cool, quiet, and unmoved. The storms on the surface are real, but they are temporary disturbances in a vast, stable body. Most of us live our entire lives identifying with the surface weather. I am being praised, therefore I am good. I am being blamed, therefore I am bad. We are tossed about, drenched, or elated by every passing condition. Equanimity is the practice of discovering that you are not just the surface. You are the entire lake, including the untroubled depths. You learn to rest in those depths, even as you acknowledge the weather above. This is the second quality, the cultivation of inner depth. It's what allows you to receive a compliment with a simple, thank you, without it inflating your sense of self. It's what allows you to hear a critique without it deflating you. The words land on the surface, create their ripples, but your center of gravity remains in the deep, calm water below. A story comes to mind about a violin maker, Silas. His life's work was in his hands, and so was his vulnerability. When a musician would try one of his instruments, his whole being would hang on their reaction. A frown could ruin his week. A smile could make it. He was a lake with no depth, every ripple reaching his core. The change began with a cello. He'd spent a year crafting it for a renowned but notoriously harsh cellist. At the unveiling, the cellist played a few notes, then set the bow down. "The wood is dead," he said flatly. "It has no soul." The words were a dagger. For 3 days, Silas was despondent. On the 4th morning, utterly depleted, he went to his workshop not to work, but just to sit with the failed instrument. He didn't pick it up. He just looked at it. He noticed the gentle curve of the ribs, the smooth finish, the careful joinery. A strange thought arose, it is a well-made object. Just that. Not a masterpiece, not a failure. An object, crafted with care. In that moment of simple, non-judgmental observation, the critic's verdict lost its absolute power. It became one man's opinion, floating on the surface. Silas felt, for the first time, a sense of depth beneath his craft. His worth as a maker was not in any single review, but in the decades of dedicated attention that lived in his hands. He could respect the cellist's ear while no longer drowning in his judgment. From that day, he began a new ritual. Before presenting an instrument, he would sit with it alone. He would play a single note and listen not for perfection, but for its simple, unique voice. He was connecting to the depth of his own relationship to the work, independent of the outcome. When praise or criticism came later, it was heard from this deeper place. It was information, not identity. Your practice is to find your own single note. What is the depth in your life that is not contingent on results? It might be the sincerity of your effort. It might be the consistency of your care. It might be the simple fact of your awareness. When you feel tossed by praise or criticism, pause. Breathe deeply, as if descending below the surface. Feel for that steady, unchanging note within. It is always there. Your attention has just been captured by the weather. The Buddha taught that this equanimity is the pinnacle of the Brahmaviharas, or divine abodes. It is the peaceful home you can return to when the winds of the world blow. You are not trying to stop the wind. You are learning to build your house in a place so deep and stable that you can hear the wind howl without believing it will tear the roof off. This week, practice being the deep lake. When a strong reaction to praise or criticism arises, label it softly, weather. Feel the sensations in your body, the excitement, the clench, as temporary surface phenomena. With each exhale, imagine sinking a little deeper into calm, still water. You are not denying the weather. You are changing your relationship to it. You are discovering you are vast enough to contain it all without being destroyed by any of it. If equanimity is the deep, still water, then what moves across its surface? What are these winds of praise and blame made of? To become truly unshakable, we must understand the nature of the storm itself. We must see clearly the raw materials of our suffering. The Buddha provided a framework for this with startling clarity, the 5 aggregates, khandhas. These are not abstract philosophy, they are a direct inventory of your moment-to-moment experience. They are, form, your body and the physical world; feelings, the immediate sense of an experience as pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Perceptions, the labeling and recognizing function; this is criticism, this is my boss's voice; mental formations, all the conditioned thoughts, emotions, and volitions that arise; and consciousness, the bare awareness of it all. When harsh criticism lands, here is what actually happens, according to this model. 1. Form, sound waves hit your eardrums. Pixels form words on a screen. 2. Feeling, an instantaneous, unconscious registration, unpleasant. 3. Perception. The mind labels the bundle: criticism, attack, danger. 4. Mental formations, like a cascade, thoughts erupt: I've failed. Emotions flare: shame, anger. Willing arises, the urge to fight, flee, or freeze. 5. Consciousness, you are aware of this entire, painful drama. Our suffering arises in a critical, hidden step. We take this fleeting, impersonal process, these changing aggregates, and we identify with it. I am ashamed. I am a failure. We mistake the storm for the sky. We believe the temporary, unpleasant feeling and the subsequent story are who we are. This is like being in a movie theater and, when a sad scene plays, forgetting you're in a seat, jumping onto the screen, and believing you are the character whose heart is breaking. The Buddha's invitation is to feel the sadness fully while remembering your seat. To notice the aggregates as aggregates. To see the feeling as a feeling, the thought as a thought. Visitors passing through the space of your awareness, not the owner of the house. I knew a therapist named Clara who specialized in trauma. She was brilliant at guiding others through this de-identification, but in her own life, a single critical comment from a colleague could unravel her. She intellectually understood the aggregates, but she couldn't feel the truth of them when the heat was on. Her shift came during a silent meditation retreat. On the 5th day, immersed in quiet, a long-buried memory arose, a childhood shaming, with full emotional force. The old pattern seized her, this is me. I am the shameful one. But in the container of silence, with nothing to do but observe, she was forced to watch the process unfold with excruciating slowness. She felt the heat in her face, form/feeling. She heard the mind whisper, worthless, perception. She felt the urge to curl up and hide, mental formation. And for the first time, she also noticed the part of her that was noticing all this. A silent, compassionate witness, consciousness, that was not tangled in the heat, the word, or the urge. It was a revelation. She realized her professional downfall wasn't the colleague's criticism, it was her instantaneous, unconscious identification with the unpleasant aggregate of feeling it triggered. She had been jumping into the movie screen for years. From that day, she began a personal practice. When criticism came, she would mentally whisper, unpleasant feeling arising. Story of inadequacy forming. This simple labeling created the tiny gap between her and the storm. She could be with the shame without being the shame. Your practice is this forensic, gentle observation. The next time a strong reaction to praise or blame hits, try to slow it down in your mind. Can you sense the raw physical sensation, tight chest, flushed face? That's form/feeling. Can you hear the immediate label, this is amazing, or this is a disaster? That's perception. Can you watch the thoughts and impulses that follow? Those are mental formations. And throughout, can you sense the awareness that is aware of all of this? That is consciousness. You are not trying to stop the process. You are changing your relationship to it. From being the captive of the drama to being the wise, compassionate observer in the theater seat. This is the practice of vipassana, or insight meditation, applied directly to the moments that hook you most. You see the machinery of suffering, and in that seeing, its power begins to fade. The praise or criticism hasn't changed. But your entanglement with it has. You are free to feel what you feel without letting it write the story of who you are. Understanding the machinery is one thing. But to live freely within it, we need fuel. We need a power source that doesn't come from the flickering lights of praise or the draining short circuits of criticism. That fuel is intention. In the Buddha's teaching, intention, satana, is not just a wish or a goal. It is the very engine of karma, the force that shapes our mind and our world. It is the most powerful thing you carry in any moment. Before you speak, before you act, before you even fully form a thought in response to praise or blame, there is a spark of intention. It's subtle, often hidden beneath the noise of emotion. When criticism comes, is your primary intention to defend yourself? To prove them wrong? To collapse in defeat? Or could it be to understand? To learn? To remain connected in compassion, even if you need to set a boundary? When praise comes, is your intention to cling to this good feeling? To use it to bolster a shaky self-image? To immediately seek more? Or could it be to appreciate the kindness? To let the joy flow through you without grabbing it? To use the energy to further a worthwhile cause? Shifting your seat of power from reaction to intention is the master key to becoming unshakable. You stop being a pinball, bounce between the bumpers of other people's opinions, and become the player, choosing where to send the ball. Let me tell you about a journalist named Anya. She wrote investigative pieces that often drew fierce criticism, angry emails, social media attacks, even threats. For years, she would spend hours crafting defensive replies, arguing in comment sections, her nights poisoned by rage. Her intention was reflexive: win the argument, defeat the critic, prove my righteousness. She won some arguments but lived in a state of war. The change began when an elderly mentor asked her a simple question: what is your work for? Not, what is it about, but for. Anya realized, with a jolt, that her deep intention was not to be right, but to illuminate truth for the sake of public understanding. Her reflexive intention, to fight, was in conflict with her deepest intention, to illuminate. The next time a venomous email arrived, she paused. She felt the old heat rise. But instead of following it, she placed a hand over her heart and asked herself, right now, what is my deepest intention? The answer came. To not add more poison to the world. To stay clear. From that intentional space, she could look at the email anew. She saw the fear and pain beneath the anger. She chose not to reply. Instead, she lit a candle and dedicated her next hour of work to the very people the critic was so afraid of. She had redirected the energy. The critic's words lost their power to hijack her because she was no longer playing the critic's game. She was playing her own, guided by a deeper why. This is your practice, the pause of intention. It's a sacred space you create between stimulus and response. When you feel hooked by a word, whether sweet or sour, practice this 3-step pause. 1. Stop. Literally, freeze for 1 breath. Don't speak, don't type, don't even finish the thought. 2. Feel. Drop into the body. What's happening? Heat. Tightness. Excitement. Just acknowledge the raw reaction. 3. Ask. Whisper inwardly, what is my deepest intention right now? Let the answers arise. They might be, to be peaceful, to be kind, to be clear, to learn. Then, and only then, act from that intention. Sometimes the action will be to speak. Sometimes it will be silence. Sometimes it will be a thank you, sometimes a boundary. But it will be yours. It will be conscious. You will no longer be a puppet of your conditioning. The Buddha taught that everything rests on the tip of intention. When you master this, you master your inner climate. Praise becomes a pleasant breeze you enjoy but don't chase. Criticism becomes a weather pattern you observe before deciding if you need an umbrella or a sun hat. Your stability comes from knowing you can always return to the clarity of your own deepest intention. It is the one thing no one can ever take from you, because it is generated anew in every mindful moment. We've anchored ourselves in intention. Now, let's examine the landscape where these intentions play out. The stories we tell ourselves. The mind is a masterful, incessant storyteller. It doesn't just experience criticism, it writes an epic saga of failure and rejection. It doesn't just receive praise, it drafts a future where this praise must continue forever to sustain us. This storytelling isn't a flaw, it's the mind's natural function. But we suffer when we mistake the story for reality, when we move into the narrative and furnish it like a home. The Buddha pointed to a way out through a practice called seeing name and form, namarupa. It's the clear recognition that our experience is made of two intertwined strands, the physical form, the raw data, and the mental name, the story, label, and meaning we impose. Suffering is the glue that binds them together so tightly we can't see the seam. Imagine you are hiking and you see a long, thin, curved shape on the path. Your eyes register the form, brown, textured, curved. Instantly, your mind applies a name, snake. Your body freezes, adrenaline floods. That is, name and form fused, creating a reality of threat. Now imagine you look closer. That name shifts, old, dried root. The form hasn't changed, but the story has, and your entire reality, your physiology, your emotion, your next action, transforms with it. Criticism is the dried root labeled snake. The form is sound or text. The immediate, unconscious name we apply is often threat, rejection, invalidation. Our body and mind react to that story as if it were absolute truth. The practice is to learn to see the root as a root, before the label of snake takes full hold. I want to share a story about a man named Leo, a public school principal. His school was under scrutiny, and a local newspaper published an article highlighting its challenges, quoting a few unhappy parents. The form was the article. The name Leo instantly applied was, "I am a failure. My career is over. Everyone will see this and know I'm incompetent." He lived inside that story for days, unable to sleep, defensive with his staff. What broke the spell was a conversation with his young daughter. She had drawn a picture of their family as stick figures under a wobbly sun. She pointed to the largest figure. "This is you, Daddy. You're at school." Then she pointed to a tiny, yellow scribble next to it. "And this is the newspaper article. It's small." Her childish perspective was a moment of pure insight. He saw, suddenly, how vast his mind had made the article, and how small it had made him. He had confused the name, the story of catastrophic failure, with the form, a few paragraphs of newsprint. He had been living inside the newspaper article, letting it define his entire reality. The next day, he called a staff meeting. Instead of defending himself, he said, "There's a story out there about our struggles. That's one story. What's the true story of your classroom this week?" He shifted the focus from the fused snake of the article back to the raw root of their shared daily experience. The energy in the room changed from defense to collaboration. The article didn't disappear, but it lost its power to poison his world because he stopped living inside its narrative. Your practice is this. Become a noticer of name and form. When you feel the sting of criticism or the glow of praise, pause and do a quick disentanglement. Form, what is the actual sensory input? The words on the screen. The tone of voice. Name, what is the first, automatic story my mind is telling about this? This means I'm. This proves. Just by seeing them as separate, the data and the drama, you create a crack in the fused reality. You can then ask, is this story true? Is it helpful? Is it the only story? You might find other names for the same form. That criticism could be one person's stressed perspective. That praise could be a moment of shared joy. This is the essence of mindfulness, steady remembering to see the process of perception itself. You are not trying to stop stories from arising. You are developing the freedom to not move into them, to not decorate them and call them home. You can let the story of threat or the story of glory pass through like weather, while you stand, grounded, on the earth of direct experience. In that grounding, you are unshakable, because you are no longer captive to the world your thoughts are momentarily constructing. Understanding the mechanics of our reactions is like having a map. But to travel the terrain of difficult words, we need a particular kind of fuel, a fuel that doesn't burn us up from the inside. That fuel is compassionate perspective. This isn't about being nice or turning the other cheek in a passive way. It's a radical, psychological reframing based on the Buddha's core insight of dependent origination. Nothing arises independently. Every word spoken comes from a vast, interconnected web of causes and conditions within the speaker. When someone criticizes you with venom, their words are not a pure, objective statement about you. They are the endpoint of a long chain. Their own past hurts, their current stress, their limited perspective, their fear. The criticism tells you more about the storm happening inside them than it does about the landscape of you. Similarly, effusive praise can often be more about the praiser's need to express joy, to connect, or to see goodness, than it is a calibrated measure of your absolute worth. Taking words personally means ignoring this vast web and focusing only on the point where the arrow seems to hit you. Compassionate perspective is zooming out to see the entire arc of the arrow's flight, where it was launched from, and why. Let me share a story about a nurse named Gabriel. He worked in an oncology ward, a place of profound stress. One evening, after a particularly difficult loss, the father of a patient lashed out at him in the hallway, accusing him of coldness and incompetence. The words were brutal, personal. For a moment, Gabriel stood frozen, the old pattern activating. He felt the sting, the defensive anger, the story of, "I'm a failure," beginning to write itself. But then, he looked at the man. He saw not an adversary, but a father standing in the hallway of a hospital, his face etched with a terror and grief so deep it had nowhere to go but out. Gabriel saw the man's clenched fists, the tears he was fighting back. In that moment, Gabriel made a conscious shift. Instead of receiving the words as truth about my nursing, he received them as an expression of catastrophic pain. He didn't absorb the arrow, he observed its trajectory. He felt his own defensive anger soften into a vast, sad compassion, for the man, for the lost child, for the unbearable nature of the situation. He didn't agree with the accusations. He simply said, quietly, "This is an awful night. I am so sorry for your pain." He didn't engage with the content of the criticism. He addressed the source signal. The man's anger deflated into sobs. The personal attack was over. Gabriel had protected his own heart not by building a wall, but by understanding the siege engine. He remained professional, he held a boundary of respect, but he was not poisoned. This is the practice: see the signal, not just the words. When praise or criticism lands, train yourself to ask one quiet question: what is the human condition behind this communication? Is this criticism a signal of fear? Fear of being wrong, of losing control, of irrelevance? Is it a signal of pain? A hurt looking for a target? Is this praise a signal of hope? A desire to see goodness in the world? Is it a signal of need? A longing for connection or reflected glory? This questioning does not mean you become a doormat. In fact, it gives you more clarity for setting boundaries. You can say, with compassion, "I hear this is coming from a place of frustration, and I want to understand, but I need us to speak respectfully." You address the root signal, frustration, while firmly maintaining the standard of form, respect. This is wise compassion. It's strategic. It protects your peace because you are no longer battling the content of the words on their terms. You are engaging with the human reality behind them on your own grounded terms. The Buddha taught that ill will is a poison. Taking personal offense is a form of ill will directed inward and outward. Compassionate perspective is the antidote. It dissolves the poison before it can enter your system. It allows you to remain in your own center, clear, kind, and unshakable, because you are no longer confused about where the words truly came from. You realize you are not the source of the other person's storm, you are simply the one standing in the rain for a moment. And you have an umbrella of understanding. This week, practice this reframing. When you feel hooked by a comment, pause. Breathe. Silently ask, what is the human signal here? See if you can sense the larger, often painful, context behind the words. This small act of perspective is the final piece that turns reactivity into unshakable, compassionate presence. We have navigated the inner landscape, seeing stories, pausing with intention, and cultivating compassionate perspective. But wisdom untested is merely theory. These qualities must be forged in the fires of daily life, through consistent, gentle repetition. This is the realm of practice. The Buddha didn't just offer insights, he laid out a path of training, a gradual path, because he understood that the mind changes not through sudden revelation, but through patient, dedicated rehearsal. Think of your mind as a vast, wild field with deep, well-worn paths carved by habit. The path of taking criticism personally is a superhighway. The path of needing praise to feel okay is a broad, smooth road. The path of equanimity or compassionate response is, at first, a faint deer trail, nearly invisible in the undergrowth. Your work is not to angrily bulldoze the old highways. It is to walk the deer trail, again and again, with kindness and persistence, until it becomes a clear, accessible path of its own. Every time you pause before reacting, you take one walk on that new trail. Every time you question a harsh inner story, you clear a little more brush. This is where many falter. They understand the concepts, have a moment of clarity, but then the old, powerful habit pulls them back onto the familiar highway of suffering. They conclude, this doesn't work for me. But the issue isn't the teaching, it's the misunderstanding of how neural and psychological change occurs. You are not failing. You are encountering the inherent resistance of an established system. The practice is in the returning, not in never straying. I want to tell you about a teacher named Alara who decided to bring mindfulness to her rowdy middle school classroom. She didn't start with lofty philosophy. She started with a single, stupidly simple practice, the one-breath pause. Before answering any question, before responding to any student's comment, whether insightful or disruptive, she would take one full, silent breath. She taught her students to do the same. At first, it felt artificial. The old highway, the path of immediate, irritated reaction or eager, approval-seeking response, was begging for use. But she committed. One breath. In that breath, space opened. She wasn't using the breath to suppress her feelings, but to create a tiny chamber of awareness where she could choose her response. Sometimes she chose firmness. Sometimes she chose curiosity. Sometimes she chose silence. The students, disarmed by the pause, began to mirror it. The classroom climate didn't become perfectly peaceful overnight, but the texture of the conflicts changed. Reactions became responses. The deer trail of conscious choice was being walked, dozens of times a day. Alara's practice is a perfect model. Your commitment is not to perfect equanimity. It is to the one-breath pause in the face of the hooks that catch you. Your formal meditation. Sitting, walking, breathing, is like going to the gym to strengthen the pause muscle. Your daily life is where you use that strength. So, what is your one-breath pause practice? Identify your most predictable hook. Is it a certain person's tone of voice? Is it the silence after you've shared an idea? Is it scrolling for likes? Design a tiny, non-negotiable ritual for that moment. For criticism, I will feel my feet on the floor for 3 seconds before I speak or type. For praise, I will say, thank you, and then consciously let the feeling go with my next exhale. For social media, I will take one breath before posting, asking, is this an offering or a petition? This is the nuts and bolts of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Right mindfulness and right effort are not abstract. They are the moment-by-moment commitment to walking the deer trail, to planting your flag on the faint path of freedom, breath by single breath. The transformation is cumulative and often invisible. One day, you'll find yourself in a situation that would have ruined your week a year ago, and you'll notice a strange, quiet steadiness. The old highway is still there, but you're no longer on it. You're on your own path, one you built step by conscious step. That is the unshakable ground you are cultivating. It is not given, it is built, through the humble, glorious work of practice. We have built a path of practice, but to walk it with confidence, we need to understand the very ground beneath our feet. That ground is impermanence, anicca, the Buddha's first and most foundational mark of existence. Everything that arises passes away. This includes the pleasant feeling of praise, the unpleasant sting of criticism, the self that feels praised or criticized, and even the awareness that observes it all. This is not a morbid truth, but a liberating one. Our suffering around words is, at its core, a rebellion against this law. We hear praise and think, this feeling should stay forever. We hear criticism and think, this feeling must go away now. We are like children trying to hold on to a sunbeam or push away a shadow, exhausting ourselves against the nature of light itself. Equanimity is not a special state you achieve, it is the natural result of surrendering to this flow. You stop trying to make the temporary permanent. Imagine you are sitting by a stream, watching leaves float by. Some leaves are beautiful, gold and red, praise. Some are brown, torn, and ugly, criticism. If you try to reach in and keep the beautiful leaf, the water pulls it from your grasp. If you try to block the ugly leaf, it bumps against your hand and swirls away downstream. Both efforts disturb the peace of simply sitting. But if you let the leaves come and go, you can appreciate the gold one as it passes and feel no need to chase the brown one. The stream of experience flows, and you are the peaceful bank, witnessing the endless parade of changing forms. Let me share a story about a man named Leo, a concert pianist who suffered from crippling stage fright. His fear was rooted in a memory. At 16, he'd made a small mistake in a recital and heard a single, audible scoff from the audience. That moment of criticism became a permanent, frozen landmark in his mind, an eternal, ugly leaf he was trying to block. Every performance was an attempt to avoid a repeat, to clutch at perfect, unbroken praise. His breakthrough came from an unlikely source, his toddler son. Leo would play simple melodies for him. The boy would clap with glee at a beautiful chord, then moments later, throw a toy and wail, completely forgetting the music. His attention was total, but fleeting. Watching this, Leo had a revelation. His son lived in pure anicca, each emotion arising fully, then passing completely, making room for the next. The toddler held on to nothing. Leo began to apply this to his own performing. He reframed the recital not as a test to earn permanent approval, but as a stream of moments, a phrase played well, a gold leaf, a moment of tension, a brown leaf, the touch of the keys, the sound in the hall. He practiced letting each moment pass without clinging or aversion. The scoff from decades ago was just one brown leaf in a stream that had carried millions since. On stage, when the old fear arose, he'd note, a brown leaf of fear, and return to the next note. The performances became fluid, alive, and free. The praise that followed was a shower of gold leaves, enjoyable, dazzling, and released. Your practice is to become a student of the stream. Start with something neutral. Watch a cloud dissolve. Listen to a sound arise and fade. Feel an itch come and go without scratching it immediately. Then, apply this to your inner world. When a feeling of pride or hurt arises, whisper to yourself, "This is here. It will change." Don't try to make it stay or force it to leave. Just acknowledge its temporary nature. This simple recognition is a profound act of disidentification. You are not the permanent, criticized self. You are the awareness that knows the experience of criticism is temporary. This knowing is your unshakable ground. As we near the end of our journey, let's address a subtle but powerful force that can undermine all our work, the inner saboteur. This isn't a monster, it's a collection of old, protective voices that mistake safety for stagnation. It's the part of you that whispers, "Who do you think you are, to be unshakable," when you try to set a boundary. It's the part that feels strangely uncomfortable when you receive sincere praise without deflecting it. It's the inertia of a familiar, suffering self that fears the unknown territory of freedom. In Buddhist psychology, this is understood as the force of aversion to the new, and clinging to the old, playing out in your inner narrative. The path to peace isn't just about managing external words. It's about making peace with the internal resistance that arises when you try to change your relationship to those words. Think of your current reactive patterns as an old, worn coat. It's threadbare, it no longer fits, and it's stained with past hurts. But it's familiar. The coat is your identity as someone who is easily hurt by criticism or someone who needs praise. To take off this coat feels vulnerable, scary, even disloyal to the you that has worn it for so long. The inner saboteur is the voice that insists you'll be cold without it, that you owe it to the coat to keep wearing it. Let me share a story about a woman named Priya. She was a gifted architect, but she consistently undercharged for her work and shied away from promoting her achievements. A deep-seated story ran her life: if I stand out or demand my worth, I will be criticized, rejected, and end up alone. This was her old coat. When a colleague praised her innovative design in a meeting, her inner saboteur immediately whispered, "They're just being nice." If they knew the real you, they'd see the flaws. She would deflect the praise, ensuring she never truly owned her success. Her turning point came during a project review. Her client, thrilled with her work, insisted on paying her a significant bonus. Priya's first instinct was to refuse, to say it was too much. But this time, she heard the saboteur's voice clearly, as if for the first time. It wasn't her voice, it was the echo of a childhood where being humble, invisible, meant being safe. In that moment, she did something revolutionary. She mentally thanked the old voice for trying to protect her. And then, she consciously chose a different action. With a dry mouth and a steady heart, she looked at her client and said, "Thank you. I'm deeply proud of this project, and I accept your generous bonus." She didn't boast. She didn't shrink. She simply stood in the reality of her worth. The sky did not fall. In fact, she felt a new, solid ground form beneath her feet. She had taken off the coat, felt the brief chill of vulnerability, and discovered she was not cold, she was free. Your practice is to befriend the saboteur. When you feel that familiar pull to crumble at criticism or deflect praise, pause. Identify the old coat. Hear the fearful voice. Then, with compassion, acknowledge its intention. "Ah, you're here to protect me. Thank you." This robs it of its power. You are no longer fighting yourself. You are acknowledging a tired, old strategy. Then, make a conscious choice, however small, to act from your new understanding. It might be simply sitting with the discomfort of a compliment for 3 seconds before saying, "Thank you." It might be writing down a critical comment and objectively asking, "Is there 2% truth here?" without collapsing into the other 98% of story. Each time you do this, you are airing out the old coat, trying on a new way of being, and teaching your whole system that this new way is not a threat, but a homecoming. This inner reconciliation is the final, crucial step. You are not trying to annihilate a part of yourself. You are integrating it with wisdom. You are moving from inner civil war to inner governance. From this place of inner unity, no external word can trigger a conflict, because you are no longer at war with yourself. You are whole. And a whole person is, by nature, unshakable. We have journeyed from the first sting of a word to the quiet center that can hear all words without falling. We've mapped the stories, cultivated the pause, practiced compassion, walked the dear trail of habit, surrendered to the stream of impermanence, and made peace with the inner voices of resistance. Now, we arrive at the simplest truth, the one that was present before we began. Awareness itself is your sanctuary. You are not building something new from scratch. You are remembering what you have always been. The Buddha's awakening was not an acquisition, but a recognition. A profound remembering of a native, undisturbed clarity. All the teachings, the mirror and the light, the deep lake, the pause of intention, the compassionate signal, are merely fingers pointing you back to the moon of your own aware presence. They are tools to clear away the debris of habitual reaction, to wipe the dust from the window so you can see clearly. The peace you seek is not a destination on the other side of perfected practice. It is the very ground you are practicing on. Imagine you are a vast, clear sky. For a lifetime, you have been captivated by the weather, the dramatic storms of criticism, the beautiful sunsets of praise, the clouds of anxious thought. You believed you were the weather. Our entire work has been to help you look up, past the clouds, to realize you are the sky that holds it all. The sky does not cling to the sunset or fight the storm. It is the boundless space in which every condition freely arises and passes. So what now? You close this session. Tomorrow, a challenging email will arrive. A compliment will be given. The old hooks will glint in the light. This is the moment. Your practice is not reserved for the cushion. It is here, in the dynamic, messy, beautiful arc of your living. When the old weather pulls at your attention, you have a choice. You can follow it into the familiar story, or you can take that one conscious breath and feel the sky-like space that contains it. You won't always remember. Sometimes you will be the storm. That is okay. That is part of the weather, too. The sky does not judge the storm. When you forget, simply begin again. That gentle returning is the path. You carry with you now a simple, three-part refuge. 1. The pause, your breath, your body, the anchor in the present. 2. The perspective, is this useful data or passing weather? What is the human signal? 3. The permission, to feel fully, to not know, to be imperfect, to begin again. Use this not as a rigid protocol, but as a touchstone. Let it be gentle. Let it be kind. You are not becoming unshakable. You are discovering you always were. You were just looking at the reflection in the mirror and forgot you were the light. You were feeling the ripples on the water and forgot you were the deep, still lake. May you walk through your days with this quiet remembering. May you meet praise and criticism as you would meet the wind. Feeling its touch, adjusting your coat perhaps, but knowing deeply it cannot harm the sky you are. Thank you for walking this path with me, here at Monk's Moon Temple. The conversation does not end, it simply returns to silence. Rest in that silence now. It is your true home.